Okay, good. All right. Shabbat shalom. Welcome to our high holiday service. No. Welcome to our Pride service. It just feels like a high holiday service, and it's so wonderful to see everyone here and see your smiling eyes. And thank you for wearing your mask this evening. My name is Val.
I'm Aviva.
Aviva, yes. And we're going to be co-leading the service this evening. Just a couple of announcements. If you have electronic devices, if you could put them on silence at the beginning of the service, that'd be much appreciated. And then just a public service announcement about our Sidors. So there are two versions of our Sidors. It's in revision, and we have sort of a beginning section that's revised and in workshop here, if you will, in the 3-ring binder version. So if you have binder version, that's the newer one. And then eventually we'll get to the evening service, and then everything will be in sync again. So if you have an older bound Sidor, the beginning part may not make sense to you. You'll look at pages and you'll be like, I don't see that reading on this page. But eventually things will sync up. Okay. And to begin with, we're not doing anything in the Siddur. Aviva and I are going to start with a reading called 8 Possible Ways in Which Prayer May Work. So this is compiled by Rabbi Amy Ilberg. So prayer may work in that one may have asked God for something which indeed came about.
Prayer may work by invoking a greater sense of God's presence.
Prayer may work by way of distraction, momentarily pulling the one who is ill out of his or her pain and suffering into a place of beauty or transcendence.
Prayer may work by way of focusing more deeply on the pain or discomfort in the suffering person's life. In this way, prayer can be deeply grounding and clarifying.
Prayer may work by quieting or centering the self.
Prayer may work by significantly connecting the one praying or being prayed for with the Jewish community and tradition.
Prayer may work by helping the one praying or being prayed for to connect on a deep level of the self, which is already healed and whole, reminding the person of his or her essential wholeness. Music, for instance, often has the capacity to put us in touch with that deep place of essential wholeness.
Prayer may work in focusing the prayer on the blessings in his or her life, enabling him or her to magnify his or her sense of gratitude.
All right, and now we will be singing Hine Matov in the new prayer books. That's on page 4. And in the previous ones, it's on page 4 as well. That's handy. The new version has a slightly different set of verses, and also those verses are not quite right in terms of the way that they're laid out. So we'll muddle through Hine Matov. It's a fun song to sing. Okay, page 4, Hine Matov. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Shabbat Hine matov u'manayim Shabbat gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim Shabbat gam yachad. Hine matov Shabbat
Now we turn to page 6, and we are going to do the reading, Blessed Are You.
Yes, and we're going to take one line per person. It's sort of a Bet Tikvah tradition sometimes to go around the room, each person reading a line. So in the middle of page 6, this is not in the new, this is a new piece, not in the old Sidors. So if you don't have Blessed Are You Adonai, who made us in your image on page 6, you'll just listen along. If you do have a new Sidor and would be willing to start with reading a line, I don't know, you have it? Okay, so maybe we'll start with you. Thank you.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God,
who made us in your image,
which knows no race or gender, nor sexual identity or orientation.
And then Edith, we can go back.
What is the word drive?
which is the consciousness
of one's own dignity, to see oneself as completely whole and living as they were created to be.
Blessed is joy and pleasure in the physical, spiritual, emotional connection we feel in relationship to one another.
Blessed is knowing and being and celebrating.
Blessed is passion, truly seeing someone just as they are. Yeah, I wrote it.
Okay, somebody who has the new Sidor, can you pick up the line? Do you have it, Nathan?
They told you they want to be.
And someone with the new Sidor.
blessed is allowing ourselves to be led.
Blessed is allowing ourselves to follow.
Blessed is the ability to transform, to allow for movement and possibility.
To create and recreate who and what feels most authentic today and tomorrow and into the future, knowing that the possibilities are endless.
Blessed are you, Adonai, made in your image, which knows no form.
Blessed is limitlessness.
Thank you. Okay. In the new binder Sidors, if you would turn to page 8, we are going to read To Catch Our Breath. Again, this is not in the previous Sidor, it's a new reading. To Catch Our Breath. We'll read this responsibly, and Aviva and I will start, and then it will go to the congregation. Tonight is a time to catch our breath. Whatever we have been doing, making, working, creating, tonight we pause to catch our breath.
No necessary.
No matter how joyful our work, how fully and profoundly human. And together, tonight we pause to catch. And we'll be turning to candle lighting, which is page 10 in the newer Sidor and page, I think, 13 in the previous version of the Sidor. And tonight we are celebrating with the Ribski, the special simcha. So I would like to invite the Ribskis up for the lighting of the candles. And would you like to do the lighting as well?
Will you please join us in the Shehekianu?
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Nathan Mazel Tov on your graduation.
I have 2 more weeks.
Hope you all could see my. That's cute.
All right, and in the new Siddur, if you have the new Siddur, please turn to page 12, the Sabbath flame. And let's see. Need, if there are 2 people here who have a new Siddur and would be willing to read aloud, could you raise your hands? Okay, in the back, and one other person? Elaine, thank you. So if you would read alternating the Sabbath flame.
Go ahead. All right. What is more fragile than Sabbath flame? Was everyone want to do?
Yeah, so you could do the stanza, and then Elaine will do, yeah.
And yet what is one during? A single breath can extinguish the flow, yet no stone has ever blown out of flame.
We kindle the Sabbath with the fires of the heart. We kindle the Sabbath with the warmth of human love and kindness, the courage of human striving and dignity.
We kindle the Sabbath with our daring to live despite the fragility of the world.
May the lighting of these Shabbat candles remind us that we are light bearers, and to bear our light well, we must share our light freely.
Thank you. Please turn to page 13 in the new Siddur and page 11 in the previous Siddur for Shalom Aleichem. And I think this is the last page where I'll have to say the pages are not the same, so we can be thankful for that. Okay, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Sharei Malachei Elyon. B'melech Malachei Hamelech. Kadosh Baruch. Bohem Shalom Malachei Hashem. Malachei Elyon. Kadosh Baruch Hu. Mila Shalom Malachei Hashem. Malachei Elyon. B'melech Malachei Hamelech. Kadosh Baruch. Satan Shalom Malachei Hashem. Malachei Elyon. Kadosh Baruch Hu. And please turn to page 16 in your Siddurs for Chadodi. Tonight we will be singing verse 1, 2, 5, and 9. And then when we get to verse 9, if you can, stand and greet the Sabbath bride coming in from the back. L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shalom is the Lord Yivorech. Yishmi'anu el hamichad. Adonai echad u'shmo. L'shemo tiferet ve'litiyah. L'chadodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Tikvah Shabbat lechu benacha, ki mechor habracha, merosh mekedem mesrucha, sof maaseh Tikvah v'chadodi likra, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Hitoreri, Kiva Uri, Uri, Shir Dameri, Kelo Adonai Alayim Mila, Lechadoti Likra, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi b'shalom ateret hala, gam b'simcha u'sapala, tolhei munei am segula, boi hala, Penei Shabbat nekabel. Okay, we have reached the official start of the evening service. Hopefully, we're all warmed up for that. And we're actually at a please rise moment for the Baruch, so please rise. Baruch Adonai Hamvorah. Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. And together at the bottom of the page on 25, I'd like us all to read it in English together. Praised are you, our eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who with your word brings on the evening twilight, and with your wisdom opens the gates of the heavens. With your unveiling, you order the cycles of time and vary the seasons, setting stars in their courses. You create day and night, rolling away the light before the darkness before the light. You cause the day to fade and the night to fall, dividing darkness and light. God, sovereign of the heavens, may you rule over us forever. Praise are you, O God, who brings on the evening twilight. Please turn the page to 26, and together we will recite the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shem Yod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. And together, Aviva will lead us in the V'ahavta Hebrew. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'chayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi mesavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'nibartam v'shitecha beitecha u'leftecha b'derech u'sholtecha u'b'necha u'shartam nayot al-yedecha v'hayu latotachot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mizuzot beitecha v'yisharecha. And together in the English as well. You shall love Adonai your God. And these words which I command you to this day shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently unto your children, speaking of them when you sit down in your house, you walk by the way, you lie down, when you rise up. You shall bind them first on your hand, and they shall be your frontlets between your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorsteps of your house and upon your gates.
Next, we will turn to page 30 for Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorot b'ritova. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorot Beni ubein b'nei Israel, Ohi le'olam, Ohi le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Israel, et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorot b'ritova. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorot b'ritova. Ulayom hashvi Shabbat vayinavah, Shabbat vayinavah, Shabbat vayinavah. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorot b'ritova. So we've reached the Hatzi Kaddish and Amida. Aviva will lead us in the Hatzi Kaddish. There'll be a silent Amida following that. And then when you're seated with your Amida prayers, you can be seated and we'll all meet back up on page 42.
Please rise if you can. Yikara v'yikara shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Yamad yivra hirute v'yomich mahute.
V'chayeh yom echon, v'chayeh lekol beit Yisrael. Agala, agala, bizman kariv,
Bimaru.
amen. Yehi Rabba Mevorah, Le'olam Yetorah.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpahar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shmei l'kudashah
Rihu,
le'im al min kol birchata v'shirata
Tushvata V'nehemata, Damim Ram Yamah.
Bimaru.
Page 42.
Ose shalom Yebroma. Hallelujah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, imru. Ose shalom bimroma. Hallelujah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, imru. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
It's nice to have all of you here. I think we have three congregations worshiping together tonight. People from the Tikvah, Dor Hadash, Ratzon. I'm not sure if there's anybody from a different congregation here. Sorry. Or without a congregation, solo. It's great, and it's Pride Shabbat, which sounds a little bit funny for me to say at Bet Tikvah, because I think every Shabbat is Pride Shabbat at Bet Tikvah, kind of our reason for being in a way. And I want to just say hello out to the folks online. It's weird because when I look at you guys, I look away from the camera. But Sarah, Ross, Jocelyn, and these are grandparents of the not yet graduate. So for tonight's drash, I just want to say I'm really indebted to Rabbi Sachs of blessed memory, Rabbi Harold Kushner of blessed memory, and Rabbi Noah Arno. So this week's Torah portion is Naso. It has a lot of superlatives associated with it. So it's the longest parsha in the Torah. It clocks in at over 170 verses. And it's part of it is part of the oldest part of the Torah known to have physically survived until now. I thought this was really quite fascinating. In 1979, a teenager who was assisting with an archaeological dig in Israel found a hidden chamber in an ancient burial cave, and inside the chamber were two small silver scrolls. It took them 3 years to figure out a way to unroll them without destroying them. 3 years. And then once they were unrolled, they contained part of this week's Torah portion. And the part that it contained also has a superlative. It's really one of the most widely known parts of the Torah, the priestly blessing. And this is known in Judaism and also in Christianity. And so I'd like to read to you the priestly blessing. All my slides ready here. Have a bookmark. One thing that I noticed when I was looking at the printed Torahs was that it was a very dramatic page turn. So you're reading along and then you page turn. And then it's the priestly blessing. It gets its own page break. And not only this copy of the Torah, but also another one that I was looking at. It says, "The Lord spoke to Moses, speak to Aaron and his sons. Thus shall you bless the people of Israel. Say to them, the Lord bless you and protect you. The Lord deal kindly and graciously with you. The Lord bestow his favor upon you and grant you peace." This is often said by parents to children, by rabbis during bar bat mitzvahs, weddings. It's said during the high holidays. It It's a very well-known part of the Torah. There are many different interpretations of the blessing, parts of the blessing. I'll just take a quick look at the first one. The Lord bless you and protect you. One of the things that I found was interesting was that this has been interpreted to bless you generally can refer to material wealth, which I thought was interesting. And that maybe the having access to material wealth and protect you, like so that you don't get robbed or lose the material wealth, but also material wealth and protect you from having a corrupting effect on you, right? Which is also kind of interesting. And then another way of thinking about bless you and protect you is to give you what it is that you need, right? As a human being right now. And I thought that was also like a great way to think about it, because we all kind of need something different, right? I mean, we're similar but different. And so to receive a blessing would be to receive something different for each of us. And that's one translation of the priestly blessing. And as you have heard, we are working on a new version of our Siddur, and it's made me really keenly aware of the importance of translation. It's literally the phone a friend lifeline for those of us who don't understand Hebrew, the words that are put into English. And we also know that accurate translation is becoming central to the lives of LGBTQIA plus individuals. We all know how it feels when people get it wrong, whether it's language that refers to our personal identities or our relationships. Language can obscure and limit or illuminate and allow for expansion. If we circle back to the priestly blessing from the translation that I read you in Etz Chaim, we would never know that the Hebrew word for face appears twice in these verses. Here's another English translation. Give me just a moment here. I have my sheets up. Let me just a moment. Oh, here it is. Tucked away here. Another one is, may God bless you and protect you, which is similar. May God cause God's face to shine upon you, and may God be good to you, and may God lift up God's face to you and grant you peace. So those English translation actually capture the word of face, which is there in the Hebrew. So I don't know why in many translations they leave out this concept of God's face. I don't know the reason for that, but I think that the idea of God's face is of interest. If we're all created in the image of God, maybe each of our faces is the face of God. And of note, the Hebrew word panim is both for face, is both singular and plural, and can also be either masculine or feminine. So it's a very interesting way that Hebrew renders the word for face. Using the word for face also permits an interesting interpretation. Here I will conclude with a short piece printed in the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, a column by Rabbi Noah Arno called What All Parents Can Learn from a Priestly Blessing. And for those of you who are thinking, well, I'm not a parent, I'm pretty sure you've all been a child. And I think that this will speak to those who have cared for a parent or are caring for their parents now as well. So this is Rabbi Noah Arno. The journey of parenthood is strange and winding. At first, we are responsible for these tiny, precious bodies that rely on us completely. Then they slowly grow and become increasingly independent, and somehow they don't need us anymore. They become our peers, looking at us eye to eye, borrowing clothes, debating us, and before we know it, they have surpassed us in height and accomplishment. Eventually, we find that they are taking care of us. I think of myself and my children in these three stages every time I bless them with the priestly blessing. This blessing, known in Hebrew as Birkat Kohanim, and detailed in this week's Torah portion, is part of our daily liturgy. How do these three stages of parenthood and childhood flow from the three verses of this blessing? It took Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim, who lived in Prague in the 1500s and who wrote a commentary on the Torah, Keli Yakar, to help me see it, but I can never see it any other way now, nor would I want to. May God bless you and protect you, is the first line of the priestly blessing. God is taking care of us, above us, and we are below, like a parent taking care of a child. When I say this verse, I think of my children when they were smaller, babies perhaps, requiring my care and protection. And I see them as they are now, as school-age kids, needing snuggles and hugs, reminders to brush teeth, tuck-ins to bed, Band-Aids and milk poured. And I see myself as I am now, a youngish parent. May God cause God's face to shine upon you, and may God be good to you. The Hebrew word upon you is alecha, which literally means to you. Not looking down to you, not looking up to you, but to you in an eye level kind of way. So here, God is shining God's face at you from the same level as you. God and we have become equals. Parents and child are peers. This verse makes me imagine seeing my children grown and standing, looking at them eye to eye, and being independent people, debating me, matching me point for point. It also reminds me of my relationship with my own parents nowadays. Finally, may God lift up God's face to you and grant you peace. The directionality here is most clear. God is looking up to us as an aging parent looks up to an adult child, admiring of everything our grown child has become, we hope, and yet the parent still has wisdom left to impart. While saying this verse, I think of my hopes for how my children will surpass me in exciting ways and will care for me when I'm elderly, when the roles have really reversed. I think too of the perspective and peace older age may offer me, enabling me to bless them with the peace I may have found. It's worth speaking theologically for a minute to unpack what this interpretation of this blessing could mean vis-a-vis God. How could God take care of us, be our peer, and most surprisingly, look up to us? The commentary suggests that early in the people Israel's history, before Egypt and while in Egypt, Israel is like a daughter to God, whom God has to take care of. Later, Israel is a sister or a bride to God, a peer in some sense. The receiving of the Torah is seen in rabbinic theology as the wedding of God and Israel. And starting from the days of the rabbis in the Talmud up to today, we have the ability to make law and interpret God's decrees. In a sense, we rule over God, so God is now looking up at us. We, the Jewish people, are God's mother, suggests the commentary. The Jewish people have been blessed to experience all three of these stages of relationship with God. May all of us who are parents each be blessed to care for and protect our children when they are small. May we be blessed to enjoy our children as independent adults and peers to us, to look at them eye to eye, and may we be blessed too to look up at them as they care for us in our old age. Shabbat shalom. Invite Aviva back up.
We will now start with Misha Berach on page 49.
Okay.
49.
Oh, 40.
Yeah.
When we get to the pause in the reading, please feel free to mention aloud or to yourself anyone who is in need of healing, and I invite folks who are online as well to unmute and speak up if you have ones to remember at this time. May the one who blessed our ancestors Sarah and Abraham, Rebekah and Isaac, Leah, Rachel and Jacob bless
Fred.
Kelly.
Dad. Scythia.
Mr. Katz. Along with all the ill amongst us and all others who have been touched by illness. Grant insight to those who bring healing, courage and faith to those who are sick, love and strength to us and all who love them. God, let your spirit rest upon all who are ill and comfort them. May they and we soon know a time of complete healing, a healing of the body and healing of the spirit, and let us say, Amen. Please turn to page 54. And if there are others who have simchas this last month or this month who would like to come open the ark, I would welcome you to do so.
Technically, it's one of our.
Oh, it is one of our anniversaries. Come on up. Please stand as the ark is opened and we'll recite a lamb together. You may be seated. Funny when you get married after so many years together that at least for us, the actual wedding part is not the anniversary that I most often remember. So it's kind of funny that way.
Good excuse.
Yeah. Okay, so we are heading into Mourner's Cottage now. If you would please turn to page 57. At the bottom of the page, at the rising of the sun. And we'll read this responsively with the congregation. At the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
at the blues of the skies, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year,
And all together,
As long as we live, they too will live.
And before we get to the actual mourner's Kaddish, I do want to say that we are, as a congregation, remembering this week a very special person to Bet Tikvah, Beverly Pollock. Some of you who have been part of Bet Tikvah for a while may remember that Beverly was a sort of active member of our congregation, and I think I remember even her sending in email feedback on the Siddur within just the past few years, and taking the time to do that. She was a lovely person. We have several of these photo boards from past times at Bet Tikvah. This is Beverly and her husband Mel. They had they have several children, two of whom predeceased her in the 90s, two sons. But she was just a terrific person, very warm, and I'd like to just share, her obituary is in the Chronicle this week, and one of our other members, Alan Wolk, wrote in a comment, which I think expresses it very well. Beverly was a blessing to so many people. She was involved in many, many communities in Pittsburgh, a source of strength, hope, guidance, and affection, with a passion for helping, supporting, advocating, and just being a devoted Jewish grandmother to so many. Beverly will be long and warmly remembered, a smart, devoted, effective example of courage, righteousness, and devotion. What an amazing legacy. This evening, we are also remembering the yard sites of William D., grandfather of Beth W., Ruth S., aunt of Dina, Leonard H., father of Ben, Doris A., grandmother of Deb, Bob B., Martin H., father of Julie, and Igor S., father of Natalia. And are there other yard sites that we are recalling? Any others that people want to mention?
Rebecca Barron, Howard Barron, Pavlos Levitz.
Online? All right, please turn to page 62 for Mourner's Cottage, and if you're able to, please rise.
Yikra v'yikra shemei Rabbah. Yalma divra hirutei v'yamit malchutei. V'chayachon u'yomechon v'chayei v'Yisrael. Uzman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yizmar v'yizman v'yizmaseh. V'yihadar v'yizmaleh v'yizhalal shmei kudisha v'yihu. V'yidlal v'yinkol v'yirkasa v'shirta. Tushvachasa v'nemasa. Dav'yimram v'yaman v'yimru amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah mim shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mrama. Uyaseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Israel, V'imru, Amen.
This is our traditional time for announcements to be made in our service. Are there any announcements this evening? Deb?
Well, I'd like to thank the two of you for the service today. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank the Rizkies for the honor tonight in honor of nation's impending.
Okay. Any other announcements this evening?
I don't know if this is gonna be an announcement or not, but it's been something that's been on my mind for weeks now, is what our group can do to help the trans people, and all the other LGBT. And it just seems to me that the bad guys are doing all the good work for themselves. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it just
Yeah.
bothers me.
I think we share that weight, and maybe that we can talk a little bit more about that important question at OMEG. Because I do think it's important, and it feels like sort of a turning point and an important point in our country's progress or lack of progress. Any other announcements? Okay, we are going to wrap up on page. Oh, sorry.
Make sure. No problem. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone from Dash and from Rhinestone who came, and then of course that's the King for Nathan's graduation. It's great to see so many people there. And hi. And yeah, that's it. So next week at DoorDash specifically, actually, I'm going to be leading services for DoorDash and Pride Shabbat. So if you would, it's in this same room. If you would like to come next week, you can meet me in person. And then I think we're going to be trying to do the Tikvah thing leading into a DoorDash on the 24th. With I have on, I believe, on a Saturday. So keep your eye on your inbox, and yeah, hopefully we'll be doing some fun stuff. Okay, that's it.
Thanks for your help in organizing it all, Sarah. All right, let's close out with some singing before Oneg. Page 72, Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra V'naseh Sofo Azai Melech Shemo Nivra V'Acharei Kilos Ve'Yahalo Nora Ve'Hu Haya Ve'Hu Men Ve'Hu Ye'etzita Ve'Hu Bechad Ve'Ein Sheni Ve'Hamshir Lo Ve'Hira Ve'Li Reshi Ve'Li Tachlis Ve'Lo Ha'os Ve'Ha'is Ve'Hu Ve'Chai Ve'Tor Henli Ve'Yetzara Ve'Hu Nisi Manosi Menakosi Ve'Yomim Ve'Yavato Ahiru Ve'Yishan Ve'Yira Ve'Imru Ve'Yati Adonai Ve'Elohim. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for Oneg.